So coming up here on Top Cow Tuesday, we're finally going to answer the question. I know this is Stormwatch, but this is Ripclaw. He's a member of Cyberforce, and we're going to be discussing Cyberforce issue 16. When we look at Ripclaw, it's hard to know where his costume begins and ends. And I've been bringing this up, eventually knowing we were going to reveal the origin of Ripclaw. I remembered issue 16. I thought this was issue 23, 24. It's way earlier than what I remember, but the red for Ripclaw, right? Is it... like right here, right? Is this the costume? Are these tattoos? Is this makeup? Because he's white all over, but then he's got these red streaks, but he's also got red arms. Where does the costume begin and end? We're going to reveal that when we discuss Cyberforce issue 16. There he is, AKAPADers, Ripclaw, the popular character from Cyberforce. He's their Wolverine, and there's nothing wrong with admitting it. Welcome to Top Cow Tuesday. I'm your host, Peter A. DeLuca, coming to you from Philadelphia, PA. Today we're discussing the origin of Ripclaw in this issue, Cyberforce 16. We're missing an editor's note. There's commentary all around Cyberforce 16. We're losing a little bit of the plot. We're not in any major storyline or character arc. This issue effectively is a Cyberforce Origins issue. Previously, we profiled Cyberforce Origins issue 2, which was the origin of Stryker. Those three issues, they profile Impact, Stryker, and Cyblade. We're losing editor's notes. We're not connecting Cyberforce 16 to Cyberforce Annual number 1, even though it's a clear thought balloon that Velocity says to herself. She goes, "This is just like what happened to me," and there's no editor's note. It makes you question what other editor notes are missing in all of comic books at this time. We give Joe Quesada a lot of credit, because when Joe Quesada really came on board for Marvel, like his post-Marvel Knights run, he brought back these editor's notes. He brought back timelines, the inside of a lot of Marvel comic books, like going a little bit into the future, profiled the characters, the power sets, and where we were within the storyline. They gave up the advertising real estate to bring the reader up to speed. So now that begs a question, right? Do comic books become too confusing? Are they too held down by continuity? Can new readers pick them up? I believe that Cyberforce 16 begins to touch on that, and then we get this fantasy that connective tissue and continuity doesn't grow comic books. And we really want to say, once we hit Cyberforce 25, is just the air, like the air of Top Cow Productions. Is it, wow, wouldn't it be great if we had another Cyberforce number 1? Because our Darkness number 1 sold really well. Our Witchblade number 1 sold really well. And we do see it in this book. And we do also see it in Wildstorm Productions, Wildcats. I'm not a contrarian with this thought. I believe I'm a little bit of a traditionalist. Continuity creates hardcore readers, and it sells comic books. The failure of the editorial staff of not connecting all the work, so that when we read it, we want all the work. Meaning we have to hunt down this issue or hunt down that issue. That's a little bit of the frenzy. Often on Top Cow Tuesday and Wildstorm Wednesday, I highlight this. I highlight how one issue can trigger multiple sales. With all of that, we answer a lot of questions about Ripclaw. We see his upbringing. We see him as a kid. The big question is the red lines, right? Like the red. Ripclaw's red. What is it exactly? Is it part of the costume? Is it not? Is Ripclaw effectively running around shirtless? We see his mutant power, but then we see how cyber data hijacks that mutant power, and then we get this idea. It's called memory metal. And all of the cyber force soldiers or agents or anyone that cyber data touches. The cyber data is the OCP. They are the evil corporation. Anyone that they touch, they put this memory metal in their brains, and it erases everything and even gives them false memory, as we saw in the Killer Instinct crossover, where Ripclaw crosses over with Warblade from Wildcats with Misery in the mix. Misery's basically the Top Cow and the Wildstorm Productions Jean Grey, and she's able to manipulate both of them, so they fight, and that's what we want because comic books. I don't know, guys. I'm excited. I don't know about you. We have David Finch artwork. David Finch's second issue as Cyberforce regular artist. I believe, I kind of want to say that David Finch is coming to light. We have a lot of his drawing, illustration tropes, a lot of the future, like, projecting into the future. The famous, the amazing David Finch shadowing. All of that groundwork is in this issue. So, AKAPADers, this is a one-off issue. It's an origin. I love it. I think this issue is fantastic, with the caveat that we're not in any overarching storyline. Even though this is a one-off, we don't know what to expect with Cyberforce 17, and that's a part of the problem when it comes to month-to-month readership and sales. And here it is, AKAPADers. Not all of these books are connected to Cyberforce 16. I just want to take a little bit of this opportunity to catch us up. So previously we highlighted Stormwatch issue 8, which features Ripclaw. And here, this is like the first appearance of Rainmaker. She later becomes a member of Gen 13. She's a Native American, he's a Native American, and they're pretty much linked through their cultures. They bond. She uses her powers, he uses his powers. She's being hunted, he saves her. And this is a knockout issue. But this was really the first true definition we had of Ripclaw's origin. Well, later, that's going to get revealed here in Cyberforce 16. Previously, we dealt with this girl here, Misery, in the Killer Instinct crossover. This is where Cyberforce, Heatwave over here, and Spartan from Wildcats, they team up and they fight this girl named Misery. Not directly. Misery is more or less fought between Ripclaw and Warblade, and she's in their minds. And we kind of see a little bit of the conduit of how she gets inside of Ripclaw's mind so easily and so well. And that's going to get revealed here. No editor's notes at all. Previously on this channel, we discussed Cyberforce Origin Striker number 2. Issue 1 is Impact, Issue 2 Striker, and Issue 3 is Psyblade. Right here. The wild thing is this issue reads so well as an Origin issue, you kind of want to say potentially it was intended to be a part of this series. We're also going to wrap up a little bit of Codename Strike Force. Codename Strike Force runs into Cyberforce, Codename Strike Force, Opposing Forces issues 1 and 2. On the cover here, Killraiser, that's one of our boys from Codename Strike Force, and Ripclaw, one of our boys from Cyberforce. So coming up, we're going to just do a round of these issues, and we're going to wrap up the series here. I don't know why I had Cyberforce Annual 2. Editor's note that's not in this issue, by the way, my AKAPADers, is Cyberforce 16 makes a reference to Cyberforce Annual 1. Cyberforce Annual 1 is where Velocity gets injured in pretty much their danger room and she slips into a coma. And these two echo the same, they're the same exact format. And I'm not knocking it because I call it Cyberforce becomes of the mind. They become more internal rather than external. I think this is a fantastic swerve for the series. But essentially, while they're operating on Velocity, she's having these flashbacks. And we get to go through her life and see her origin and her true connection to Ballistic, Cyberdata. Yeah, the bad guys and the good guys. Not reference. Around this time, we have Cyblade teaming up with She, and when these two team up, the company Top Cow ships into the world of Witchblade. Once Top Cow publishes Witchblade, where's she at? Right here. Once Top Cow publishes Witchblade, everything changes. So we roughly have 10 more months of this book. We do somewhat power into Cyberforce issue 25. David Finch, he comes into his own. Leading into issue 16. These are just some of the issues we've already profiled here on the channel. And then we'll be picking up 14, 15. We have 16. And then it's going to be all systems go for 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25. And you saw the cover for 24 previously, right here. And with issue 25, we do have to say the series is over. Now, it continues, but everything changes. There's a paradigm shift. The shift is complete by the time we get into 26. Everything I just showed you is roughly like 3 to 4 weeks out. Meaning in the next 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to touch on some of the stuff. I just have to order it the right way. So, with all of that said, AKAPADers, let's get into Cyberforce issue 16. And before we get any further, say hello to the mascots of this very table. Crypt, the greatest Image Comics creation of the 90s, and Pike, his best friend. Now, these two never crossed over in the comics, but on my drawing table, they get to cross over every single day. That's the fun of having a couple action figures around. I'm not big on action figures. I'm really big on just Hot Wheels. I love Hot Wheels. On the cover here, we have David Finch, inked by Bat, B-A-T-T. Bat is, I would suspect, is using a lot of crow quill, and he's using very thin, fine line brushes. Now, the previous comic book generation basically did a round brush, which would be one of these, I believe. Or, where's my round? Right here. Do I have a round? Where is my round? Guys, right here. No. You know what? It's a round brush. Just take my word for it. On the cover, we have Sideblade, Heatwave, Striker, Velocity, and Ripclaw. I want to say the pose here for Velocity is top notch. I don't know why. It's just like she's subtle. I love her lean. And all of this. Again, we like triangulation for our covers. What am I talking about? Triangulation is, you know, like focal point kind of here. You know, not 100% perfect, but it works. So I love triangulation. I think it's one of the great cover techniques. And I lost my cap that quick. Found the cap. Back cover, we are previewing and selling Weapon Zero. The war has just begun. Prepare yourself. Walt Simonson and Joe Benitez. We have Bat right here. Now, we're also advertising just within the trade dress. Top Cow Productions, or we're tagging, not advertising, but tagging Top Cow Productions and Ballistic Studios. Eventually, Ballistic Studios will fade into the darkness. Cyberforce, created by Mark Silvestri, and look at that motorcycle shot. I mean, you would think this was a frame from Top Gun. That's Maverick on his motorcycle. If you guys ever want to speculate what the budget is for these, this is where the economics of comics becomes very depressing as we get into 1995. And what am I talking about? Here's the economics of comics. We have David Finch, pencils, Brandon Pearson story, he does a banger job. Jason Gordon inks, Steve Fairchild colors, right? So these names, you're like, okay, well, we have to pay for these guys because, right, we need a penciler, we need a story guy, we need an inker, we need a colorist. But here we go. This is your coloring department. We have two editors, David Wall and Len Wein, co-creator of Wolverine here. David Wall sticks with the company. He does fantastic work. He really starts to weave what's called like the Artifact universe, which is the third phase of the Top Cow universe. But then we have associate editor, ink assist, color embellishes. And we have two other names. And then here, look, we have a vice president, we have a VP, we have a director of marketing, we have Cynthia Morris. For Image Comics, we have two guys right here. This is a lot of money to spend. Like, all these people need money to do this. So to me, I'm befuddled even when we have two editors. And Len Wein being as embedded in Marvel and DC as he is, that we somehow are removing editor's notes. We're not connecting Cyberforce 16 to anything else that an individual could purchase. But we do get a banger standalone issue. So we do have to compare it. We have to compare some of this to Wildcat, to Cyberforce Annual #1. It has to be said, I'm really big on like discovering comic book tropes. This is a trope to how we get into what Cyberforce knows, because Cyberforce essentially, they're a team of individuals that had their memories erased. Like all of them. No one really knows what's what. Striker is pretty grounded, but everyone else is like, ah. So Cyberforce Annual 1, both of these issues, they opened with this like danger room sequence. They're almost facsimiles of one another. You can see Velocity here. She gets this battle droid. Ripclaw here encounters a battle droid, right? Ripclaw goes down. Basically has like a hemorrhage. Velocity here, she goes down. And then, they have to rush her to the hospital. Right? They gotta get her to the hospital. And during the way, we get this flashback. So it flashes forwards and backwards. I think it does it perfectly. This one nails I call it the crossover caption. The crossover caption. So I'm going to point that out to you guys. Such as here. Crossover caption number 1. Ripclaw goes down. They're trying to crank up this little kitty character. Yeah, put him up, put him up, put him up. I'll tell you one thing, Hairball, and this is the big guy. Impact talking. You got guts. See? Crossover panel. So we're crossing over, and then we're reading. But here, we're in a different caption with a different color. So it's well tagged. And we know we're in a different scene. And it happens here too. Ripclaw, it's Impact. Can you hear me? Robert. And then we know we're in the flashback here. It's a great technique, guys. Crossover captions. Because we're technically crossing over. Anyone out there that can come up with a better term, please let me know. Better terminology for that. So we get to a young Ripclaw, and he is in karate. He's in his Cobra Kai. He is roundhousing this dude right here. And amongst this tussle, he gets his hand, like, grows blades. And his sensei's like, but how? Get out. Out. And then we're in another scene, and we cross over. Well executed. Bravo. Top cow. You cut me. What kind of freak are you? Like, all of these things, right? All this stuff. Now, I have to say, this right here gave me a flashback to a Ultimate X-Men issue that David Finch drew, where Wolverine, he goes to the mountainside because when this kid hit puberty, I guess he let out this fume, and he killed his whole neighborhood. Like, everyone breathed in, like, the air that this kid, like, it was toxic air. And Wolverine's the only one that they can send in to, like, kill the kid, and he gives the kid a beer and he kills him. There's a lot there that's in here, like, within these couple pages here, because David Finch draws, like, he draws a decent, right, a very decent teenage face. Like, the proportions are nice. Right, he's got, like, enough open space. Like, he's not drawing a lot of lines. Like, he's not drawing, like, just for a quick example, like, we would kind of, like, age this drawing by, doing the cheekbone here, like, making the mouth a little bit bigger. And within, like, a couple lines, right, you can kind of make his neck a little bit thicker. Right, but you can age up this drawing very quickly. But Finch does a great job in separating it. And you see it here. Like, we see, I get it, AKAPADers, right? That's a typical 90s face, but this is clearly one adult, and this is clearly a kid. Comic books is communication, and Finch does one hell of a job. He gets home, and he tries to talk to his dad, and his dad just, like, shuts him down. His brother, so Ripclaw is going through this manifestation where he's white. He's like this albino kid. No one knows why he's albino. They think he has, like, a skin condition. His brother is waking up from nightmares every single night. He purposely makes that reference. This right here tells you the life of Ripclaw. I spent the last 16 years with this stupid skin condition. Why should claws be that unusual? Living in LA, all sorts of freaks. His brother is having nightmares. So this is kind of cool. So later in here, we get a doctor. Or no. We get this report from Cyberdata right here. So the dude that's running Cyberdata, Kamita-san, and he's very much highlighted in Cyberforce issue 0. Right here, he's communicating with a guy that tracked down Ripclaw, or he's aware of Ripclaw's existence, and the guy's name is Mr. Finch. And then here, the father, if you guys, here we go, another Easter egg. Top Cow penciler Joe Benitez murdered by studio mates. he had it coming, is one of the quotes. So they're a close-knit environment, close-knit individuals. At night, young boy Ripclaw gets into the part of the house he's not supposed to get into, and he just finds out that he has Native American roots, and potentially, his father may not be his father, so he takes all his money and he goes to the Indian reservation, and we have some social commentary. It's important to note, and here we just see Ripclaw getting operated on. It's a high, it's a low. Our doctor friend is like, this dude's failing. We gotta figure this out. And they kind of don't sell it too well, because every time, like right here, it's like, I know, Chip. It's just I've never seen him. I've never seen Ripclaw so helpless. And I'll be damned if I'm going to have him die on my table. It's just like, it's just it's never sold that Ripclaw is in danger, and it really should be sold that he's in danger. Like, they should have just flatlined him. And you think these are his last moments, and we're seeing his memories from his last moments. But look, I always thought that was some stereotype, that some reservations are hard hit, but I guess it's true. So I just have to point this out, okay? This word balloon here, okay? If this was in a modern comic, this would be labeled as woke, okay? And it's bad commentary, because it takes away the criticism of injecting some of these things in comics. But it also, comics have a history of being very progressive. Not that I think an Indian reservation is progressive. But anyway, Ripclaw gets jumped. He throws a bag, completely nails this dude. Gets clipped on the back of the neck. Great David Finch expressions there. And they get saved by the reservation medicine man, the reservation shaman. And he sees that the boy is white. And he goes, his face, his skin, the legends. Praise the spirits. The legends could be true. Young Ripclaw, look at that kid's face. Young Ripclaw gets nursed back to health. He gets a ritual. And here we go. He goes through the spirit world, which is, it's there. It's legit. Some nice animal drawings here by Finch. He gets hung up by his, nipples. He's, hung up by his nipples. The hooks come off. We see the first signs of Ripclaw. And with all of that blood, they carve, right? He gets his makeup, his face paint. And we kind of will assume also for his arms. The arms are still, maybe the arm part is the costume. We struggle to save Ripclaw, but everyone's like, Corbin, this isn't time for pity. Just save him, right? Ripclaw's in no danger. Ripclaw pretty much just tracks down some guys that, they did some bad things. So he gets into a bar fight. 90s trope. There's a lot of bar fights in 90s comics. I love it. David Finch draws some really sweet expressions. Nice shadows here. This dude getting thrown through the glass. Ripclaw just going at it. I love this guy's pose, by the way. The dude, so Ripclaw gets shotgun in the back. This is the circle bar, by the way. I really do, like, I love this guy. Like, I don't know, the characters are so well constructed here, but I love that he's got 2 broken bottles. Yeah, so Ripclaw gets compromised. He gets captured. He gets tracked down by Cyberdata because someone hears of someone potentially with abilities. So Cyberdata is like, we need him. They get him. They start to experiment. They put in the memory metal and they send him on missions. This is the early Ripclaw that we are familiar with from Cyberforce Zero. We have David Finch drawing one of his all-time faces here. I love the dangling hair. But look, Ripclaw is just killing security guards. And this is the absolute most interesting part of the entire book. So, with these 2 pages, Ripclaw is, and look at that pose, Ripclaw is possessed. He's under the control of Cyberdata, and all of these captions here is just the dialogue, like the communications of the people controlling Ripclaw, and they're like, hey, we have a break. Wait, something's hap right here. Something's hap. And in that split second, like the spiritual side, whatever that medicine man, that shaman, like connected Ripclaw to, comes back and breaks his conditioning. So it's almost like the spirit world takes over the work of Cyberdata. Like the spirit world wins, and Ripclaw's like, I'm Audi 5000. Right when he breaks free in this flashback, which is a memory, he wakes up. I will return one day, Kamita, and I will bring Cyberdata crashing about your ears. I will see you dead. Crossover. And then the doctor's like, hey, you had one hell of a night, but you're safe. Ripclaw's like, yeah. He's like, these memories and all this stuff. And he kind of ends up at home. He sees Robert and Mike, which is his brother. And, he's like, no one else lives. Like, they're gone. But I kind of remember it now. So Ripclaw, like, it kind of insinuates that he'll go on another journey to maybe find his parents, discover his brother, so on and so forth. Nice David Finch profile here. Here we go, guys. We are all systems go. Witchblade is coming. I don't know, guys. I really, 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 really enjoyed this. Just happy to bring it to you for Top Cow Tuesday.